Today's video is going to be something that is very different to my usual content. Usually you know me as a gamer who plays anime games, but today you'll know me as someone who makes a new power system. And before we get into the power system itself, I want you guys to understand the world. And I actually have a novel based on this world, which I will link in the description. Now, looking at Outworld is where Chikara is mainly used. Chikara flows through the world itself, not just the people who use it, which is why when you're comparing it to the human world, where they have just a tiny bit of it, Outworld is pretty much superior in every single way. But that is natural, since Outworld is the first world to ever be created and the oldest world, which is why time moves faster in Outworld than it is in the human world, or things like materials and nature is a lot more dangerous in Outworld than it is in the human world, which means the air is a lot more denser in Outworld and it is a lot more harder to move. Chikara is a life force of energy that houses different energies. Yes, I know that was a lot to take in. As complicated as it sounds, it's pretty simple. I have Chikara split into two different categories, which is main Chikara energies and sub Chikara energies. Your main Chikara energy is more based off of your main source of nature, that being Divine Chikara or Demonic Chikara, or even a Dragon Chikara. Now obviously what that means is main Chikara is based off the species you are, which is probably the most important. Then you have your sub Chikara nature energies, which are energies that can also flow throughout the world, not just within a person's body, which is spiritual energy, chakra, mana, primordial energy, death energy, ki, and conceptual energy. There are more different types of energies out there, and I'll actually explain now what they mean. Each sub Chikara energy gives you something special, like mana. Mana is magic. It will give you the ability to use magic at will. Or spiritual energy. Spiritual energy will not only boost your power, but will also help you harm spirit-like entities. And then there's some sub Chikara energies that just give you power in general. But having a sub Chikara energy is never bad to have, as it can obviously boost your power. Now I will say that the main Chikara energies are a lot more beneficial to have than a sub Chikara energy, as a main Chikara energy nature is your true nature, which is why it gives off more power. You can only obtain more main Chikara energies by being a hybrid. This is why a being like God would not need sub Chikara natures, because his very own true divine Chikara nature is already more powerful than anything else. Depending on if you are a lower being or a high being, you can have up to 2 to 7 Chikara energies. Lower beings mainly only have 1, but they have the potential to gain 2. Higher beings have 2, but have the potential to gain 7, unless you're God, who has 9. Let's use a high being for example. Your main Chikara is in the center. Then you have your 6 Chikara energies around your main Chikara. Moving on to your species matters. The reason why your species matters, despite what I've talked about earlier, is because depending on your species, your main Chikara holds a bigger battery. Now obviously a angel is going to be more stronger and more powerful than a demon, because their base Chikara or their main Chikara is naturally more powerful. It's like playing who has the bigger battery game. But that's why it's essential for sub Chikara natures, because those are extra batteries that sustain your main Chikara, which gives even lower beings a chance of fighting people who are tons stronger. Moving on to how it affects the body. Chikara will naturally make you stronger, faster, more durable, have heightened senses, better eyesight, and super hearing. And it's not that complicated, it's pretty simple. If someone has a large reserve of Chikara and is a lot more superior than you, your attacks will do absolutely nothing to that person. You will also not be able to outspeed them or overpower them in strength, and you won't be more invulnerable than they are. When it comes to Chikara, this is one of the most simplest things about it, as well as one of the other things that you can do with Chikara throughout the body, which is infuse weapons. Infusing Chikara in your weapon will give you the ability to slice through mountains, energy itself, and just overall make your weapon a lot more powerful and stronger when it comes to slicing things. Next, Chikara always gives you an element. No matter what, you will always obtain an element. Whether that's fire, lightning, water, or even air. But some elements are a lot more rare than your baser elements. Things like gravity. Gravity has only ever been used by a few people, one of the characters being Benny, which he comes from a bloodline of people who use gravity manipulation. Others are capable of imitating gravity manipulation, but they are not capable of using the full scope, as they do not have the Chikara nature energy to do so. Chikara can make it hard to breathe or even move. Just like spiritual pressure, an overwhelming Chikara will immobilize a person and make it very hard to breathe, which is very self-explanatory, and so we're moving on to true nature transformation. Now pretty much it's just transformations that almost everyone is capable of obtaining some type of transformation. But the reason for the name is that it is showing your true nature. Whether your truest nature is tied to your species or maybe an element. Taking the main character for example, he is a being of multitude of creatures. Demon, angel, dragon, and etc. But his transformation only shows his demon-like quality because that is his very main nature. And as usual, transformations give you a boost in stats, so I'm not gonna really go too much over that because there's a lot more of a complicated side to transformations that is better explained in the story. Which goes into my next topic, which is the ocular eyes. Chikara is able to transform your eyes and give you abilities within those eyes. Like how I talked about earlier, how Chikara improves your eyesight, or a more transformed and evolved state of what eye enhancement is. Just like some Chikara elements, ocular eyes are very rare, are more tied to a bloodline. So far there is only 3, which is God's Eye, Demonic Eyes, and Suikoden Eye, which give you special abilities and hacks that are tied to your nature. And the best thing about ocular eyes is that it's not always the same ability as another person. So even though 2 people are using the Suikoden eyes, they may not have the same abilities. It's almost always different. But with that being said, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope you guys found my power system somewhat interesting. If you guys want to read the story, I will have it in the description as well as the comments. And if you guys want me to make a whole entire channel dedicated to the lore of my novel, then I will actually do that. But with that all being said, I'm going to see you guys on the next video, and peace.